Good morning, good afternoon, welcome back. God, it's been a while since I've put an episode out there, but this is something different, and you might be thinking, what on earth is going on? Why is this in a bit of a podcasty format? And I thought, you know what? I'm going to try something different, just to obviously give you an idea of this is what can be done. It's not just about training all the time, but it could be just general updates as to what is going on in life. But let me just give you a quick intro for those that are new around here. So my name is Lyndon Longhorn. I am a former Paralympic swimmer. I went to the Games in 2021 after facing multiple setbacks. I've also been an Olympic torchbearer. I've broken 13 British records and also been to World Championships as well. So I've achieved a lot with 12 years of swimming. I've now moved on to a new adventure, and as you'll have seen from previous episodes, I'm now on a journey to complete an Ironman. And you might be like, you are mad. Yes, I am mad. So it's completely different. I have really stepped out of my comfort zone at the moment, and it's a one which I'm actually enjoying, a one that's pushing us to the absolute limits. And this is why I've thought, you know what a perfect time to release an episode around setbacks, injuries, how you can come back and make yourself like that all bit stronger. And over the last week, it's been actually pretty crazy of what has actually been going on, and a one where I thought this is now the right time to actually do this episode. Let me know what you think as we go along. If this is something you want a bit more of, then obviously great, I'm happy to do that. There will still be insights into training and what is going on. It's just obviously taking a little bit of time to set things up and make sure that everything's just running smoothly and the right things are captured with training, because I don't want to just put content out there for the sake of it. It's going to be meaningful and shown right the way through this journey until we start in September. So that's just a little bit. Now, obviously, it's been a tough week. Took a little bit of a setback with training due to facing concussion, and that's through no fault of my own. It's obviously one thing that's occurred, and sometimes you've just got to go through these motions to make you come out of the other side that little bit stronger. And do you know what? It's a one where now I feel a lot better, and I know that it was the right decision to do. I was meant to be going away. I was meant to be out in Denmark, but unfortunately I couldn't go because I had to follow concussion protocols. Not ideal, but at the same time you've got to look at it and say, do you know what? If I did go and something did happen, I could be out longer, or I could be out for months, however long it's going to be. But whereas I've took that decision and I'm now, after a week, managing to get going again. So as with further ado, I've wrote some things down that I actually want to go through, just to obviously share the journey with you and make sure that you're all kept up to speed, because I thought, why not do this in a little bit of a different format of like a solo podcast. And yeah, hopefully later down the line that it could be something which might develop. Who knows? But yeah, if you like what you see, leave a like rating. Obviously, remember, drop your questions in the comment box as well. And third of all, subscribe to the channel and make sure you stay up to date with what's going on, because there is a lot. And obviously, by the time you see this, there'll be another video in development. There's a few at the minute that I've got going around. It's just obviously getting the time to piece everything together, because as you know, one-man team, you just got to keep everything running smoothly. But for now, let's get on with the episode, and I'll fill you in with what has been going on. So, with the whole journey itself, obviously we all know I started this back in November. It's a one which has been absolutely phenomenal. There's been a lot learned. There's been a lot happening. And yeah, it's a one that's just teaching me a lot physically, mentally. I've never witnessed anything like it. But the journey is just absolutely incredible. And the thing what I tell everyone every time I do a speaking event or anything like that is always at a point of going, you've got to enjoy the journey that you're going on, because that's what just makes it that all more special. Thing is, you could have the end result and you look back and say, yeah, it was a great journey that I've been on, but make sure that you enjoy every step of the way that you're going. Now, this is what I've loved right from the start, and it's going to continue to grow right the way through. But there's always an element that you're going to sit there and think, this is so damn tough. But at the same time, it just makes you that all more stronger. So, obviously, there'll be a key element that I want you to take away from today. But for now, I'm just going to share, obviously, what's happened over the last week, how that's affected me, and where I'm going from now. So, last weekend, not the weekend just gone, the one before, I basically got flipped out my chair in rugby, and unfortunately I hit my head off the floor, which then was down to a concussion, and due to the symptoms that I was getting, it wasn't a pleasant experience. I was exhausted, didn't feel great, and yeah, I knew at that point I was like, I can't physically train until I've actually been checked. Mentally, there's a lot going through my head. I knew everything was heading in the right direction, and sometimes you say to yourself, oh my days, how long am I actually going to be out for? But I had to take it with a pinch of salt. I drove all the way back from Birmingham, and the following morning I woke up with a stiff neck, and that just triggered a lot of alerts in my head to go, something not going right here, and I knew I had to go and get checked out. So I got checked at A&E. I also got checked out by a physio as well, and yeah, unfortunately I had to take a week out to make sure that I was recovered. The last thing that we wanted was basically saying now, yeah, great, we can basically get back in, and then we're going to put yourself out for longer if you're not feeling 100%. Whereas a few days rest, reflect on the journey that you've been on so far, and that for me was the biggest turning point to say, right, this is only a week, we've got until September. This phase now uses a bit of a deload. Yes, we know we're in an absolute mental block of training of 11 weeks, 13 weeks, and it's like, where do we go from here? And I said to myself, do you know what, you just need to take that step back to say, right, I now need to push things forward when I come back to training again. So this for me, over this last week, has been a killer. Being out of the gym for like 5-6 days has been nothing but driving me up the wall. I know this challenge has been one that I set out myself. It's a one that I'm absolutely loving, but at the same time, when you're missing 5 days of training, you think, oh my goodness, like, can I do this? Am I going to be fit enough? But luckily it wasn't any longer than that. I managed to get back on the bike on Saturday for half an hour. I'm still on half an hour at the minute, and yeah, luckily we should be absolutely fine to get back into the swing of things. With the emotional side, yeah, you just fear everything. You just lose that momentum. You go from doing like say 10 sessions a week to then nothing, and you think, oh my days, like, how can I possibly survive? Through that moment, you just think, right, I need to do things that's going to keep me busy. If I don't do the things that are going to work, what am I going to do? I'm not going to come back the person that I was. I'm not going to be able to make sure I'm keeping fit and strong enough. But at the same time, it's frustrating because you do want to be in the gym, just getting your fitness to the absolute peak of saying, yeah, I'm ready to go again. The vulnerability, the thoughts that run through your head at the time, you just think, I could be out for months. But what I said was, in my mind, as I'm sat there going, this could be 5 days out. What's 5 days compared to a month? And the thing what I always say to myself now is, I say, yes, we're back in the gym, we've took 5 days out, we're taking it steady, but at the same time, that could have been a whole lot worse, and dread to think, like, could I have been out for a month? Could I have been out for 2 months? But at the same time now, I'm looking at it saying, do you know what, we've absolutely smashed this. We've done everything we possibly can, from nutrition, physios, you name it. The whole team that's behind this has been absolutely tremendous to get me back to a point of where I'm at now, of saying, right, we can start and build things back. Yes, still got to take things a little bit steady, but at the same time, it's a one where I've said to myself, I'm pleased I've got the best team around us to actually get this back on the road again. I also say, like, the hidden gift of setbacks. So what did the injury or illness force you to do? So it teaches you that period to just slow down. You might think that you've got a load of things going on, which a lot of people do. Absolutely fine. But just take that reflective process to say, do you know what? I've learned so much over these last few weeks. Where we came from November to where we are now in April, these last few months have been absolutely incredible for the journey what I've been on. And the weight, like, yes, everything's just toning up nicely now. Weight hovering about the same. Fitness is on a different level. Like, the whole journey has just been mind blowing. And the thing what it forces me to do is sit there and go, do you know what? Look at where you were back in November. And you think, I said to myself, this is one of the hardest things I've done. I still say it now. I never stop saying it. But at the same time, I look at the whole process and think, do you know what? 5 days, okay, what can we do in these 5 days to make sure we come back stronger? And you just look at it and say, it's not months, it's literally 5 days. That's all it is. You sit there and say, what if this could be 2 months? It could have been a whole lot worse. It could have been a period of saying, do you know what? We're going to be out till like June. We could have been out till May. But at the end of the day, you're not. And you look and reflect and say, do you know what? If we can carry everything forward now, from what we've learned over these last few months, just reflect on that. Anything you do, and I'm a big advocate for it, of saying, just reflect on what you've learned so far and how you can take it to the next level. The downtime period, yes, mentally, it does absolutely kill you because you think, I want to get back in the gym. I want to get back on the bike. I want to get back in the pool. I just want to get back to this swing of things of saying, right, we're absolutely flying at the minute. And I want to keep that fitness going. But once that all goes from doing 10 sessions to all of a sudden nothing, you sit and think to yourself, oh my God, like, what do I do? And I always say now, the best thing that I ever did, and I did this through sport and everything else, was for a period of time you sit and think, okay, I need to do things now to keep my mind occupied, and I need to make sure I'm following all the right advice from physios, nutritionists, physiologists, everyone in that sports science team or that team around you. If you sit there and think, right, I've got this well under control, and I'm going to push this to the absolute level of saying I'm going to be back fitter, better and stronger, there is no reason why you cannot actually do that. But remember, emotionally, yes, emotions are on a height because you're sitting and thinking, like the what ifs, what if this, what if that. But at the same time, just look at it and say, do you know what? We need this period. My body's teaching us that I need to go through this phase to actually make myself come back to a bigger and better person. Sometimes it does bring clarity, and I know this is one thing that I've always been touched upon, is saying, yes, it does clarify why you actually need to do this and why you want to do this. But it does sense, it for some reason, it sparks that absolute purpose moment of saying, do you know what? There's a new sense here. We know we're hungry to get something, but once that moment goes, you sit and think, okay, I've actually got this, and you want to get back. That's when you know the hunger is still there. If I was out for, say, let's say for example, I was out for a month, and you're sitting and saying, right, we're out for this period, what are we going to do about it? And you just say, I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to sit there and not do a thing. There's no reason why you can't actually say, right, I'm going to set myself daily tasks every single day to say, right, I'm going to do bang, bang, bang. This is A, B, and C. This is what I actually want to do, and you can actually go and do that. You come back, reflect on that. Every athlete does it. There are a lot of athletes now who are like top in the world, whether that's in the sport what you're in, whether that's swimming that I was in, whether it could be athletics, it could be wheelchair basketball, like football, whatever it is that you do. Just sit for a moment and say, I'm going to reflect on what I've done today, but can I go back tomorrow into training and say, I'm going to be that 1% better to make sure that I'm coming back a bigger and better person? Redefining progress. So, with this area, it's a one that I sit and say to myself, recovery isn't just about physical, but it's also a mindset game as well. You can go through everything in hell to take you to that next point of saying, yeah, it's physical, but at the same time, when you know what's going on in your mind and saying, yep, I've actually got to push myself to the next level, and making sure that I'm keeping my mind in the right frame. At the end of the day, the best thing that I did, and this is what I've done over the last week, is I've said, this is a short-term progress. This is a short-term situation that we are in at the minute. We've got to focus on the long-term result. That long-term result is September. And one of the best things to ever do is actually go through that gratification process. I talk about it a lot when I do speaking events, and it's a one where you touch upon instant gratification and delayed gratification. For me, I would rather delay things and say to myself, do you know what? I'm going to wait. You look at it, I took 12 years to get to a Paralympic Games. Them setbacks, them failures, everything that you go through is actually making you a bigger and better person. For me, I look at it now and saying, God, this is nothing compared to what I've done over the 12 years in sport. But when you go through those moments of saying, okay, I'm actually going to keep the momentum going here, I'm going to carry on going and keep going through that mindset journey of going, right, what can I do today that was different to yesterday? We can't change anything that we've already done, but at the same time, all you've got to do is sit there and think, right, these are my tasks that I need to do today. We can't change history, but what you can do is change what you do. You write your own chapters, and that's a big advocate, and I'm a big believer in that you write your own chapters every single day. The more you do that, and the more you keep pushing that forward, the more you go on that journey of saying, yeah, this is the biggest thing I could ever possibly do. There's a section which I will touch upon, which is like highlighting growth, and it's not always linear. Now, for me, it's a big area. Like growth mindset is a big section of mine. We all say it, like, oh, I'm in a growth mindset, but how do you know that you're actually in that growth mindset? Are you saying to yourself every single day, there is a problem that I've got, but I know there's a solution at the end, but I need to go away and find the best solution? Or are you saying to yourself, I'm not going to do anything about it, and I'm just going to sit there and hopefully I can get to the end in some time, but I'll let someone come to me with the actual solution that's needed? I would rather go out there and say, right, I'm going to read this book, I'm going to read this document, whatever it is, to say, right, this is what I can do now that's going to push us to the next level. For me, growth's so important, and you learn so much more about yourself to push you to that next level. Now, when it comes to the point of growth mindset, it's knowing what to do to make your mind stronger. Now, I'll touch on this at a later episode, but this is why I just wanted to say this now, that it's a one where you can learn so much, and when you actually know what needs to be done, that's what makes it all the more better. You might have to speak to people, which is absolutely fine, and I said it to kids the other week when I was in schools, that it's always important to ask for help when needed. You can go on a journey by yourself, but at the same time, when you do go on that journey, just make sure you've got the help there that's actually needed. Power of rest, patience, and acceptance. Now, I got to get a little giggle there because obviously I'm not a one for rest. And when it comes to rest, I am a one that's like, right, I need to do something now. I need to do it now. I need to do it now. I need to go back. I need to go and do this. I need to go and do that. That's the way that I've always been. I'm not a one for actually taking rest, but you have to learn that patience and acceptance is what you need in this situation. If I was to say, let's say for example, right, I was to come round next and say, right, I've got another concussion. So say I went out to Denmark and I got concussed again, that could have then put me out for a month. It could have put me out for 2 months. Who knows how long I would have been out for. However, one of the best things that you can do is sit there and say to yourself, do you know what? Just be patient with this. This is teaching your body to just go through the adaptation phase of it's got to develop, and you've got to make sure that you're actually ready to be primed to come back tomorrow, in the next few days, in the next week, whenever it is, and just say, I'm ready to attack this again. That's what I did, and I literally turned around and I said, you know what? I'm ready to go, and I want to get back into training. And I've had to take this step back to just say, whoa, just wait a minute. we need your body to slow down a bit, because if we get back in and we push it, you could be out a bit longer. And we'd rather give you that 5 days to then come back and say, right, the hunger is still there. And I think as well, if you're at a point of saying, I'm ready to go back, that's when you know you're hungry to still go and get something. Now for me, it took me a lot to accept this, I'm not going to lie. It's the one that I won't shy away from, because I know I have to accept that this is a moment to say, right, you need to listen to the people who are giving you the advice, to say, right, okay, if I don't accept it and I go and do the complete opposite, what's going to happen? You're going to cock everything up completely. And for me, that is not something that I wanted to do. It was at a point of saying, do you know what? I'm holding myself responsible for speaking to the right staff, and I'm accountable for what I do. And I say to everyone that you have to know the difference between accountability and responsibility, and not a lot of people do, and it's a one that I've touched on a lot. So just bear that in mind when it comes down to doing anything. How setbacks build character? Now for me, when you go through those hard times of showing the resilience and it's how it's helped shape you, that's the biggest thing you could ever imagine. Now resilience is obviously pushing through and making sure that you can come in every single day and do the same stuff that could be the absolute dry bones of just saying, oh my god, this is boring. Like, what do I do? How am I going to do it? I've got to rinse this task every single day, however long it's going to be. That's showing that you have not got the motivation every single day, but you've got the resilience to go on and have the determination to push it to the next level. You think about it, I've spent countless hours in the water of saying, right, I'm going to push up and down that line for the next 2 hours. It is very daunting. It can get boring. And you can go into a mind of saying, I just want to get out. You could be 20 minutes in. But you sit there and you go through that process of saying, do you know what? What is the end goal? Is it getting to an Olympic Games? Is it getting to a World Championships? Is it competing in a triathlon? Whatever it is that's going through your mind at that moment, just remember, you are in it for the gratification process of delaying everything. Everyone that I've spoke to always says, I want it now, I want it now, I want it now. It's not going to happen. It never will happen. Nothing comes overnight. It is actually impossible to get anything overnight. The biggest thing that you can learn to sit there and do is just say to yourself, this is a 5-year journey that I'm going on. Like for me, it's a 10-month journey that I'm on to get to where I actually want to be and completing an Ironman in 24 hours. It's not easy. It isn't easy. You've got to train your mind to do that. And as an example, right, I spoke to my friend Chris, and I said to him yesterday on the phone, and I said, do you know what? Think of a situation like what you want to do, like something you want in small doses. And he said a chocolate bar. And he went, the problem is, if I have a chocolate bar, I'm going to eat it all straight away. And what I've learned from him, and we speak on a regular basis, is that he wants things now, but he has got the patience to build a business. So what it's teaching him to do is have that moment to say, right, I'm going to go through this week of saying I'm going Monday to Friday of eating healthy, but I know on the weekend I can have a little bit of a treat. You can have it in little doses, but it's just about making sure that you're in control of that and not going scoffing a big bar or anything like that. But just remember, you can learn a lot more about gratitude in saying to yourself, do you know what? I can teach myself to go on a program and say, I'm going to do this for the next 4 years. That's shown the resilience and determination that you have to make sure that you can go out and push every single damn day through the mud, through the rain. You could have blood, sweat, tears, whatever it is, and you're sitting there going, yeah, do you know what? This is hard. This is one of the hardest bloody things that I'll ever do. But at the same time, I know what the end goal is. And when you get to that end goal, you look at it and say, do you know what? Them days were so damn worth it. Because I promise you now, when you look back at that whole blooming journey that you go on, it is absolutely incredible. And one of the best things that I did is I sit back, and when I got to the games, you look at everything that you've gone through. Like, I failed to get to 2 games, but at the same time, if I didn't do that, would I have actually got there? Would I have actually wanted to come back? And this is by now doing this Ironman, I sit and say, blooming heck, every single flipping training session that I'm doing, it's freaking hard. You're by yourself, your headphones are on, you go into that mode of saying, my head's down and I'm focused on this task. I know I have to drag these hours out on the bike. I know I have to drag the hours out in the pool. I know I have to drag the hours out in the gym. Rinse and repeat that every single day. It's not easy. Your body's hurting, your body's tired. Just picture now, closing your eyes and just saying, I'm going to do this for the next year. You do it for the next year, your body will go through hell. But you will learn so much more about yourself of saying, I can push it to the absolute max. Not a lot of people know that your mind is way, way stronger than you actually know it is. And I think with all the work that I've done, for me, it's one of them points of saying, yeah, do you know what? I know I can go out there and I can go out and tackle this like there's no tomorrow. So just remember, would you rather have things now, or would you rather have them later on? And that's one thing what I will say to people all the time, is just saying, do you know what? Just brace it, that journey what you go on, because you'll look back in the next 5 years and say, do you know what? That was so worth that journey that I've been on. With what I say was, maybe you developed a stronger why, and I'll probably touch on this at a later date, but that why are you doing it? Always ask yourself why, and if you can define the why, you know there's a purpose there to go and do something. I'm not going to touch too much on it, but that's one thing what I want to leave you with. My advice to you guys would be, it's okay to not be okay. It's okay to go through them sessions and say, I'm not in the best place, but you know what? I'm going to get in this water and I'm going to give it, or get on the track, whatever it is, I'm going to go in the gym, but I'm going to give this everything that I've got. I don't feel 100%, but I know if I can get something out of this session, always defining what your goals are, flipping heck, you'll be absolutely incredible by the end of it. And you'll come out and say, do you know what? That was worth it. And I'm pleased that I actually managed to get in and do that session. Just think, right? Imagine that you didn't go to the gym now. For anyone that's listening to this, just imagine you're in the gym every single day for the next 7 days. You then come out of the gym and you say, I'm not going to do the gym for a week. Mentally, it's going to kill you. And it will make you at a point of going, do you know what, why am I doing, like, I need to go back in the gym. But if you sit there and say, do you know what, I can go in the gym on the days where I don't feel 100%, but I'm giving 100%, and I know in my mind I'm giving 100%, those are the days what mean so damn much more. And what I will say, the better days come along at a later date. You have to go through that flipping storm to make sure that you can come out at the other end and say, do you know what? Yeah. I've gone through absolute shit. I've gone through hell. But at the same time, it's taught me a lot more about myself. And when you look at that whole journey, just think to yourself, would I actually change what I've done? Because I know I wouldn't. And it's a one that I look back and say, do you know what? I love every single moment that I've been on with this. But if it hadn't have been for those setbacks, the failures, and knowing that this is what shapes you to be the bigger person, I wouldn't actually know who I am. So I'm going to leave that with you. That's been this episode. And let me know if you want more episodes like this, then obviously great. Like, I'm happy to do things like this. But if you want to keep up to date, there'll be stuff on socials. There's also stuff on my website as well, which I need to get updated. So there'll be some updates coming on there as well. And remember, if you want to donate, the link is on my website for the fundraising. And you can go to the GoFundMe and find out all the information there. But for now, enjoy the rest of your day. hope you've enjoyed this episode. My name's Lyndon Longhorn, and for now, I'm going to wish you all the very best. And just remember, what is it that you want to do today that you can go out there tomorrow and be 1% better with? And that's what I'm going to leave it with there. So just remember, the tasks that you've done today, they've done. Reflect on them, move forward, and go into tomorrow a better day. Enjoy, and I'll catch you in the next episode.